Solopreneurs, come on down! Unpacking all your business woes on the go. Your queens of business banter, Laura and Lindsay. You're in for a hilarious half hour of unconventional, unpredictable, unadulterated solopreneur shenanigans, jam-packed with pearls of wisdom and actionable aha moments. Let's get ready to banter!
And welcome everyone to Banterpreneurs. She's Laura. She is a performance coach, a professional speaker, and she has a very strange way of clearing her throat.
Yes, well, don't tell everyone about that.
Oh,
my husband will
sorry.
be upset if people know my trick.
Moving on.
She is Lindsay. She's an improv teacher, a creativity coach, and she is #winning today because she got up before 11 a.m.
How good am I? I mean, really. I mean, I deserve some kind of fanfare for that, I reckon. Okay. Thank you. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Imagine getting a fanfare every morning. That'd be awesome.
That would actually work. Even though I get up earlier than you, I don't like getting up. I just don't like getting up, to be honest.
Who does?
I know.
Yeah.
It's just so nice in bed, especially in this weather. Well, you're in Queensland, it's a bit warmer, but down here in New South Wales, it's bloody cold. So I feel like if there was a fanfare, maybe like, I'm imagining some guy from the 80s in Lycra just standing over the bed going, yes, and throwing glitter all over.
That's amazing. Like our different imagination of what fanfare is. Like I'm like medieval, like they're all lined up with the trumpets or whatever they are, those things and the flags and everything. For Queen Lindsay to get up out of bed. What a fanfare it is. Yeah. But I did it.
And I just want a queen in my bed going, yes, girl.
Yes, totally.
Anyway, actually, funnily enough, that wasn't planned this way, but that's a bit of a nice segue into what we want to talk about today, because we want to talk about like prepping, right, before you do something.
True.
And that would be a great preparation for the day, right? To have
a fanfare.
Different fanfares. But yeah, look, that's what we want to talk about today is getting prepared. Now, the reason we want to talk about that is because we've both had situations in the last week where we've gone to something and we haven't allowed ourselves time to and mentally prepare is what I'm talking about now before we've gone on, whether it's in front of the camera or in front of others or whatever, and it's affected our performance. So yes, I'll just keep talking for a moment if I may.
You may.
So I'll give you my my example, and that is improv class with the wonderful Lindsay that I attend every week. And I have noticed that if I don't give myself even like 10 minutes before I go online, I do not come to the party as much as I could. And it's important, isn't it, Lindsay, with improv, with anything really, but particularly with improv, to just be out of your head and just be comfortable, be able to just let whatever comes come.
Yes.
And it's really difficult to do that if you go into the scenario in your head. So yeah, I was doing something that was challenging for me anyway. And I just noticed that I was putting up silly little barriers because I just wasn't in the right place.
Yes. And improv is very much about like, I ask people what's the most important thing in improv, and most of the time they say yes and, because everybody knows that. But the most important thing is your state. So really what we're talking about is your state. So what state do you get yourself in before you're about to perform in some aspect of your life, whether it be improv, whether it be business, whether it be a meeting, or like you said, online. I think it's really, really important. And something similar happened to me, as you know, this week. We were doing some stuff, some recording, and it's always fun. But it is a lot of work. You know, it is a professional thing that we do, even though it's not, guys. It's totally not. Like we're just winging it the whole time. But even so, I was supposed to go and do a course later that night, and I was just totally exhausted because I didn't give enough time before the two events. So I had two major events that were happening.
Yeah.
And just too close together. And it's like, you always overestimate what you think you can.
Yes, I know. Why?
like energy wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. I think there's a saying. It's something like, you always overestimate what you can accomplish in a day and underestimate what you can accomplish in a year.
Oh.
So,
that's cool.
yeah,
I like that.
I think it's really, really interesting. Really interesting. So, and obviously a year is made up of many days, but it's kind of like, how do you sort of streamline things just down so that you know that you have that energy so that you can come to the party, to the fanfare, and they have warmed up that trumpet, you know, before you start trumpeting out.
Oh dear, I'm thinking so many rude things right now.
Of course you are. I almost do it deliberately.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so that, I think it's important, right? Some kind of, I don't know, is it what are we talking about here? Is it energy management, or are we talking about a kind of a routine that you say, no, this has to happen, so I'm in a state? I kind of feel like we're talking about two things.
We are talking,
like not kind of backing to back everything in your life.
Yeah.
That happens to me a lot, and I know it happens to you a lot.
Yes.
Like,
okay.
that backing to back thing, because just you're busy, you're very busy, you're too busy, darling, too busy. Too busy, I'm just too busy.
But I love it, darling.
I love it, darling. But backing to back all that, and then not maybe having, is it about not scheduling the time for state?
Yes.
In between those things? I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, and the ironic thing is, you know, like we pack in as much as we can in a day because we think that that's being productive. But then when we don't turn up in a state that allows us to perform, and when I say perform, I just mean, you know, being creative, or, you know, being able to focus on the task at hand, or being able to have a good conversation, or whatever it is. If we don't get ourselves in the state, we can't do that. And therefore we're not productive because we're not getting the outcome that we could potentially
100%. And this is like a woo spooky moment, because last night I was doing that course that I couldn't do last time because I was in the wrong state.
Yeah.
And the professor who's running the course, he asked me, how has your week been? And I said, well, really just all over the place, you know, but I've just decided I can only do 2 major things in a day. And he said, oh, very, very wise. He said, you know, very wise, because, you know, you always want to bring the best of yourself to everything.
Yeah.
You know, and it's exactly what you're saying. It's not productive in the sense of you're not playing at 100%.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know.
And then you get pissed off with yourself because you didn't play at 100%, and then you start beating yourself up, and then you go into a worse state, and then you're in this whole big cycle of mind fuckery.
Yeah.
So it's something that I do not nail. I will put it right out there, but it is that I'm mindful of. Even the last couple of weeks, I've started getting back into my morning meditations. And for exactly this reason, because it puts me in a better state for the day. And I have every morning that I've done it, I have been able to be more creative. I have been able to have more fun. Hello, everybody. Business is supposed to be fun. Newsflash. That deserves a fanfare. And it's just literally, literally from me putting myself in a state. And also, as Lindsay said at the beginning, and she says every podcast, I am a professional speaker. And so this is also really important. Then I've learned is that I have to do certain things before I speak in order to put myself into that state so that I can turn up, go on stage or on camera or whatever it is. This sounds a bit wanky, in my heart, not in my head. And be able to perform and show up as myself, and let that be whatever the heck it needs to be once I'm out on stage. So letting go of expectations with that as well.
Yes. And I mean, I know you're saying like it's wanky to say from the heart, but I don't think so. I think it's actually almost scientific in the sense that, you know, if you're not in your head, then you're somewhere else. So you could be in your heart, and that means that you're not overthinking. Yeah. Exactly. You know, and you're not getting caught up in the judgment and the criticism and all the other shit and the distractions that happen. Yeah. Most of that creating a state for high performance is really about that relaxation and being in that space of grounded. It's like you're relaxed, but ready for anything.
Yes. Again, thinking dirty things. I'm relaxed and ready for anything, baby.
Yeah.
And like you said at the beginning, this does also just relate to everyday things like meetings or, conversations. It doesn't have to be going out on stage. It can just be those things where you have to sit down and, write a blog or write a newsletter or have a conversation with a client or something like that, getting yourself in that state beforehand just means that you're going to get a much better outcome for everyone involved, right?
Yes, definitely. And there is sort of a section of research that speaks about life is a performance.
Yes.
So, everything you do in life is a performance and takes certain amount of preparation for that performance to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your mind's going there again, but that's...
It wasn't going anywhere. I was totally in my heart, baby.
Oh, okay, in your heart. Oh, sorry.
So I want to leverage on your experience with this, because we've spoken about why it's important to get into a good state. But obviously you've been a performer for years, like an actual, proper performer, a musician on stage, big gigs, all that stuff. So that's like the most terrifying situation that you can really be in, right? In terms of...
Well, for a lot of people.
For a lot of people, exactly.
Yeah.
So can you share with us some of the things that you would do to get yourself in a state before going into that like terrifying experience?
Okay, so I'll give you a situation that's got two opposing kind of examples. Okay. So the first time that I ever went on stage properly, I didn't actually get on stage.
Oh.
Because I absolutely freaked out, didn't prepare, spent most of that time in the toilet, had invited 20 people, so they were all out there waiting for me to get on stage.
And you were in the shitter.
I was in the shitter, and I didn't even end up going on stage because I was that unprepared. And I literally thought that this is it. I'm not cut out to be a performer.
Yeah.
And these are other things that we might tell ourselves, and it's got nothing to do with the talent. It's got to do with the preparation. So that's the first example of where it didn't.
Yes. The only way was up, baby, from there.
Yeah. It didn't happen. And to be honest, I never would have ended up becoming a singer and doing that for a living unless it was for the guy who was in charge of that gig that basically called me afterwards and said, oh, you've got 3 more gigs. I'm like, oh, but I didn't get up in the first time. And he's like, no, I believe you. I believe you can do it, which was beautiful.
Amazing.
It's one of the most beautiful moments, actually. That if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done singing.
Because is that not the key ingredient? Really, is belief.
Yes,
that's really a massive part of that state to be in, right? Is the belief that I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to die. Whatever I need to do will happen, right?
Yes, I can't remember who it is, but who wrote "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway"? Susan Jeffers, and basically she said there is only one fear. There is only one fear, and that is that you won't be able to handle it.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like if you believe that you can handle it, you're going to be more likely to handle it. And if you believe that you can handle it, you're probably going to be more likely to do the things that a person who believes they can handle it would do.
Yes.
Whereas I had a deep, deep feeling that I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if I had to look back at it and I had to go, what was really going on, I really thought I'm not going to be able to handle this. I'm not going to be able to handle being on stage and doing this, I'm not good enough, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
So as you said, belief is a massive thing. And then the second example is one of the biggest gigs that I ever did, and my favorite gig of all time. I did my own songs with my husband, actually, so it was a very special moment at the State Theatre in Sydney. So it was 2,500 people, and basically that was a gig that I'd dreamed of doing my whole life.
Yeah.
And the pressure of doing that gig was massive, as in I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack in the wings of this thing. And the only thing that got me to go on stage was the belief that I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack,
Yeah.
But I believe that I can do this. I know that I'm prepared. I'm going to relax. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to ground myself. I'm going to get into the state of someone who's a professional. And did the gig. Was an awesome gig, one of my best memories. And that was a situation where it really was on that precipice of like, I was literally having heart palpitations.
Yeah.
Sweating, thinking I'm going to forget everything, all of this. And it was this is a do or die. Like, I need to change my state and I need to change it now.
And do you know what I love about that is that you were totally in control of that. Like, nothing physical around you affected your state. It was just the way that you decided
just the perception.
To interpret
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us forget that. We think we are out of control of our emotions and we don't have any control. But I think that's the perfect example of how you actually have really 100% of the control, unless something's physically actually harming you.
I mean, even if I actually had a heart attack, okay, then maybe it's a little bit out, but I'd still probably go up. but it's like, because when you said to me before about it's sort of everyone's big fear to do this big performance thing, and I said, yes, some people, I truly believe the only difference between me and those people that it's a phobia for is my association to the feeling. Yeah. So it's kind of like most people think I'm having a heart attack, and then they will literally think I'm having a heart attack, whereas I go, oh, I feel like I notice that I feel like I'm having a heart attack. Yeah. That's not really true, but it's understandable because this is the gig you've put everything into. This is a huge gig for you. So there's a lot of metacognition, I guess, that has to go on to it's like talking you off the ledge.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you're about to really just go down, and you could, because I got a good imagination. I couldn't watch Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? Like that terror dog under the bed. Right, that was I've got a big imagination, so I reckon anybody could create a heart attack if they were stressed enough.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you do need a certain amount of that sort of metacognition to kind of talk yourself off the ledge.
Well, I was going to say, like, it wasn't a heart attack, but in the first scenario you shared with us, you did actually create a physical symptom.
Yeah, I did. And it's interesting because although I don't necessarily get like fully nervous before I go on stage now, I do have a kind of thing where I'll definitely have to go to the toilet, and my body is nervous, but I'm not nervous. And it's really interesting because now I just accept that and just go, okay, cool. So I'm just going to have to make sure that I have 10 minutes before I actually go on, because I'm going to need 5 of those for the toilet. And then the other 5. That's my ritual. Yeah. Then I talk myself off the ledge, exactly. And I'm here and I'm now, which, is always a good thing to say.
Yeah, so I like that one. Yeah. Wait, tell us that one. I know you told me about that before.
Yeah, so basically it's just saying it over and over again in your mind to bring you right into the present, right into the moment, and that is, where am I? Here. What time is it? Now. Where am I? Here. What time is it? Now. And you just feel yourself coming into the moment. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's what I did that night, because I was just...
it's kind of, even when you were saying it then, I felt a bit more calm. It's kind of mesmerizing. Saying. I really like it. I really like it.
Yeah, so do I. Because it's simple, and you can just say it over and over, and you literally just, like a mantra, and then you just literally feel yourself just calming right down.
Heck down. Yeah, my mantra before I go on is, I know my shit, the words will come.
Right.
Because that's the thing that comes into my head before anything. It's like, oh my God, I can't remember a single thing that I'm supposed to say. And I know the words are there. I know they will come. So I just remind myself of that. I also have a particular song that I listen to that gets me pumped. So I listen to that. I do some breathing. I go, I know my shit, the words will come. And then I'm good to go. That's my like trigger states, if you like. Although I have used a few times that where am I mantra that you've given me, and I like that because it is so simple.
Yeah, it is simple, and it's the kind of desperado thing. It's like you're on that ledge. If you say that, it's something you can say to yourself when you're actually on the ledge, and then it can kind of just bring you back into that more present. I think it's about being present state. Because again, with fear, we're making up bullshit in our mind about what's going to happen.
Exactly, which we can't predict and we can't control. And actually, that's another thing I have to do when I am out there, is to not get fixated on people's response.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
That is a massive mind fucker, isn't it?
100%. And I mean, really, when you think about it, it's interesting in performing, you do have that preparation and then you have that maintenance. So as the gig's happening, and if things don't go according to plan, you are constantly bringing back that state, of relaxation, but alertness. I remember doing a comedy gig with my partner years ago, and she was just freaking out because some person didn't like us. You could tell they didn't like us. They were heckling us. It was just like this thing. And when we got off stage, I was like, but didn't you see like the 20 people that were on board?
Yeah, no.
Like, can't we focus on them?
It's always that one. And it's like, even in conversations, right, where people are giving you feedback or whatever, you are always honed in on that one bad thing. And that again comes down to belief, right? If you believe you're not good enough or you're not worthy or you can't handle it or you're going to get rejected, your brain will look for things to validate that in the external world. And that's why you laser in on that one person. Whereas, as you said, when you change your state, when you have that belief, you notice the other 20 people
that's right
on board, and that other one can just be there. You kind of don't even have an opinion on them. They're just there, right?
Yeah. And that is, honestly, that is the best way to be, is just to be neutral about that kind of stuff, because it doesn't then, trigger anything in you if you're just neutral about it.
And in my experience, when you then try and cater to that one, then you end up just doing shit you wouldn't normally do. And
exactly.
That goes down the hole.
Yeah, totally. So you're just going to be okay with the fact that not everybody's going to like what you're doing. I know. There's another podcast in that. We'll get back to that, guys. We'll get back to that one. Not everybody's going to like you. But, I kind of feel like we might have, I don't know, I'm just kind of feeling like there's two experts here. Two experts that could talk to us a little bit about this in terms of we're back to fight or flight, we're back to fear, and we're in metacognition.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of almost feel like Steve and Davina.
Wow, that would be an interesting
Would that be an interesting? I think that'd be
else.
I think that would be an interesting conversation.
Let's do it. Let's hook them up.
Let's get them in here, guys. Producers, let's get them in here.
Yeah.
Oh, Davina. It's the beautiful Davina, mate. Good to see you. How have you been? It's been a little while.
Yes, I'm just marvelous, Steve. All the better for seeing you.
Oh, that's what I like about you the most, Davina. You're always marvelous or amazing or fantastic or brilliant. Like you're always happy. You've always got that smile on your face, mate. I think you're amazing, mate. I just want to say that. They got us here to talk and that, but I just want to say that, mate. Just before we talk a little bit about the routines and things, because I was kind of listening to what they were saying before. So what's your take on it, man? What do you feel?
Well, and might I just say, Steve, the weather in Greece looks just marvelous today.
Oh, it's perfect, mate. It's absolutely perfect. It's brilliant, mate, just like you. Anyway, tell me about this from kind of biological, because Steve's all about the brain, mate, and the kind of prefrontal cortex. But we got that lizard brain going on, mate. So you're the expert, mate. Talk to me about it.
This is true. So really, what we're talking about now is fear, as Lindsay and Laura rightly said. And actually, we saw the fear in action when Lindsay said she felt like she was having a heart attack. This was fight or flight mode happening because she was fearful. So the brain sensed danger, and so it tried to protect her by increasing her heart rate and increasing her breathing rate, which actually then made her feel tightness in the chest and made her feel like actual death was about to occur.
You're so brilliant, mate. That's exactly what I think happened. And the thing is, too, that not only did this happen on a physical level, on a biological level, mate, then the prefrontal cortex kicks in, mate, and has an opinion about it, mate. And then that just makes it all the worse, because then you start to get into the nitty gritty about I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, this means that, and then that starts a narrative, mate. A narrative in your mind, and then you start to make all these imaginary kind of scenarios, and you think that you're gonna have a heart attack, mate. You know that, like she said, right?
Absolutely, and as Laura would say, it begins this cycle of mind fuckery.
Yeah, I like it when she talks about the mind fuckery, mate, because she doesn't fuck around. You know what I mean? It's just straight in mind fuckery. Yeah. I like that. Is that a new hat, mate? It's so beautiful. Beautiful hat, mate.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I have approximately, 20 to 25 hats, because, it's ever so dangerous here in the urban jungle, so one must always be prepared,
That's what I like about you, mate. Always prepared, mate. Always prepared.
Which I suppose, funnily enough, is what the girls were talking about.
Totally, mate. If you can have some kind of routine and you can have a kind of a strategy, mate, for when you think you're going to die, you can have a different perspective, you can have a different opinion about that, and you can make up a new story, mate. And the thing is that the brain doesn't know the difference between the realities and the imaginings, mate. You know what I mean?
This is so true, Steve.
So that's the thing, mate. You make it up in your own mind that you're gonna die. You may as well make it up that you're gonna be awesome. You know what I mean?
What a marvelous idea, Steve. You're so clever.
Thank you. I'm a speechless, so yeah, you're making me red, mate.
Oh my, I'm so sorry, Steve. I believe you might be experiencing some sort of physiological response right now.
I believe I do, mate, and I'm telling myself some pretty romantic stories about it, mate, but I'm not going to go into that. So, mate, we better just kind of conclude this, because they're going to,
must.
So, because Steve's getting a bit hot and bothered here, mate, and it's not just biological. So basically, what we're saying, people, is you're going to have this response, right? Is that right, Davina? Tell me, you're going to have this response. You can't help this response sometimes, right?
Sometimes, yes, but it all, as you said, depends on the stories that you're telling yourself, yes.
And so, mate, the stories, they can change the chemicals, right, in the brain, and then change the way that the body reacts, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. What we think, we become. So if we feel the adverse physiological effects, then we can go, oh, how may I change the story so I might feel some better physiological effects,
You're a genius, man. Anybody tell you that before?
You set it up, Steve, and I just knocked it in.
Oh, don't say shit like that to me, mate. I'm a little bit like Laura in that way, you know what I mean? Yeah, say certain things to me. Anyway, I think the producers are telling me that's it, our time slot's up. But it's been a bloody pleasure, mate, to see you. I want to get over to Australia, mate, and come and visit and stuff,
Yes, you must. To the urban jungle. It's just delightful this time of year.
And also, mate, if you're ever near Greece, mate, feel free to come in and I'll make a bloody good galactoborico, mate. So just make sure you come in and I'll feed you up, mate. You come over, it's going to be the best.
That sounds just wonderful. Now I must go. I can see a squirrel over there that needs saving from some tourists.
Oh, you go for it, Davina, mate. Love you, mate.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Have they gone? I can't believe freaking
They're
Daryl.
gone. I really wanted to be in that with them, but Daryl couldn't patch us through. Daryl,
Daryl, seriously, something needs to happen about Daryl. We'll figure that out later. Who is he anyway? Like, is he even qualified to be
I don't know. He's a tech guy.
Yeah.
Apparently a tech guy. So, yeah.
Anyway, sounds like Davina and Steve, well, I was going to say it sounds like they got on, but it sounds like they really got on well.
Yeah, maybe a bit too much there.
Yeah, bloody Steve. You can't trust him, can you?
He's very hot-blooded. Let's just put it
very,
that way.
very hot-blooded.
Yeah.
But they had some good stuff to say by all accounts, it seems.
Yeah. I think it was a really nice combination because then you had the body and the brain sort of together and the biology and the narrative together. So I think that covers really the whole thing. I mean, it's really about, you know, your body's going to do what it does, but then you need to be neutral about that and not buy into that situation.
Yeah.
And then create that new narrative around it.
Yeah, totally. And I do think it's important to note that, you know, you can calm the physiology down by changing the story, by doing the physical things that we spoke about, you know, whether it's breathing or music or whatever, a power pose. But it might not always like completely go. And quite honestly, it probably won't if you're doing something like stepping out on stage or having a challenging conversation. So I think that's important to put out there for people as well, because I think our expectations are too high sometimes. Like we think that we're just going to remove all the fear. But that, like exactly the title of the book is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Do it anyway. Yeah,
exactly. And I love what Davina said. I can't remember if this is exactly how she said it, but along these lines that basically what we think we become or our thoughts create our reality, which Steve very nicely reinforced by just saying, you know, if you can create a story and create the feelings around, what was it he said?
Yeah, he said something like, if you think you're gonna die, you can all just the same. You can think you're gonna be awesome. So it's the same process.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what we were talking about before, right? About changing your state through changing your thoughts.
Yes.
But they just very nicely reinforced that. So I think, like you said, noticing the trigger thing. So you said you were feeling like a heart attack. For me, I feel it in my gut. So I'll get like bloated or I'll get a tightness in my gut, and that's my physiology telling me that something's going on. And so find whatever your trigger is and then calm yourself down physically with some simple things, breathing, whatever, a little mantra, but then looking at that story and changing the story from, you know, I'm going to die to I'm awesome or whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works.
Sums up what we're talking about, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And also that can be a process of experimentation, you know, try some different things. Yeah. And, you know, maybe you're more of a person that, you know, here and now works that mantra, or maybe you're more of a person that, you know, you remember a time when you killed it on stage, you know, or something like that. So there's all different ways that you can change your state. But the most important thing is that you try your best to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I really liked what you said about being neutral and just taking it for what it is, not judging it as it's going to be good or it's going to be bad or whatever. It's just going to be whatever the friggin' hell it's going to be. I think that takes a lot of the energy away from it, right?
What it is.
Oh, that'll do. I'm happy with that. It is what it is.
What it is. Yeah.
See you then.
Okay. Bye.
You've been listening to Banterpreneurs. If you have a question for us to answer on the show, submit it on our website at banterpreneurs.com. And if you liked what you heard, give us a review and share the love with a fellow business mate. See you next week for more solopreneur shenanigans.